Today we're going to go over everything that I teach in a first lesson with a guitar student. Make sure you watch to the end because all of these elements I think are very crucial for the beginner guitarist. When you're beginning on guitar, you want to make sure that you're getting started with the proper fundamentals so that everything you learn is going to be that much easier for you. Before we get started with anything else, let's talk about some guitar vocabulary so that we're all on the same page. This helps a lot so that the students know exactly what the teacher is referring to. Let's begin with the bridge here. That's where the strings cross over and end. Then we have a couple of pickups here. We also have the volume knob, the tone knob, and the pickup selector switch. Over here we have the fretboard and of course the neck. And by the way, on the body, these are called cutaways so that you can have higher fret access. Important to note on the fretboard, the metal bands going across, they're your frets. And when a teacher says they want you to play on the first fret, they mean behind the first fret like this. This is the first fret here. You don't want to be in front of it. You want to be behind it when you play. This is the headstock of the guitar where the tuning machine are, or the tuners, whatever you want to refer them as. And it also includes the nut of the guitar, which is actually what separates the strings. You can see that the nut has been cut to keep the string separation even. First things first, let's talk about how you hold the pick. What I always tell students is you want to make a trigger finger with your index finger like this. Then hold the pointy part of your pick so that the fat part is exposed, and you're going to lay that right over the side of your index finger like that, and then clamp your thumb down over top. So what I've got is essentially a flat thumb, and I have curved my index finger back, creating a hole right here. And it basically ends up looking like that with the point of the pick coming out the side of my thumb there. The reason I do this is because I want maximum surface area on either side of the pick in order that I can hold it properly, it won't spin on me and things like that. If you hold the pick on the pads of your fingers like this, it's going to spin on you, and it's also just much easier to drop. Okay, now that you're holding the pick properly and you've got that circle made with your index finger and a nice flat thumb, it doesn't matter so much what you do with the other fingers, but we want to get set up on the body of the guitar properly. Now, whether you're playing electric or acoustic, it's irrelevant. I tell students that you want to come over this part of the body at an angle. You don't want to come from behind it like this. I want you to come at the guitar like this for your setup. You can put the palm of your hand right through here on the body or on the strings or on the bridge. Any of those places is fine as long as you're not muting strings out. And I like to make sure that students are in good contact with the guitar. So your arm can touch the guitar up here, your hand can touch the body or the bridge or the strings. The reason I want you set up like this is because it provides a nice straight line through the wrist, and it gives your wrist the ability to go up or down the easiest. We want to pick through the strings at a little bit of an angle. In other words, something like that. Not necessarily 45 degrees, but some people do pick that harshly. It's probably a little bit more like 30 or so. The reason you do that is because you can get a nice string pop as well as it just simply goes through the string easier than if you're playing parallel to the string. So I don't recommend putting the pick parallel to the string. You'll end up getting hung up on the string more than if you're at an angle. You can go right through it. The first thing I teach students is how to play some single notes because we want to begin right away getting our right and left hands synchronized. That's the biggest problem that you're going to encounter as a beginner. So you might as well tackle that first. And what we're going to use is called a chromatic scale, which basically includes every single note. The scale we're going to play here doesn't actually include every single note, but it's going to be sufficient for what we need. I call them kind of a dumb scale because it's not really something that's musical. It's meant for us to get our hands in sync. So go down to your 6th string, which is the low fat string, and we're going to play 1st fret with the 1st finger, 2nd fret with the 2nd finger, 3rd fret with the 3rd finger, and 4th fret with the 4th finger. Yes, you want to use every single finger and don't slide around like this with one finger. We want to get our fingers working right away. There's no better time to start than now. So make sure you're playing what I call finger for fret. 1st fret, 1st finger, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, and so on. Now once you've played 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 6th string, then move on to the 5th string and do the exact same thing. 4th string, same thing. 3rd string, 2nd string, and 1st string. What I would recommend for beginners is certainly not trying to play it that fast. You're going to be stumbling all over yourself. Play it super slow and clean. Accuracy like that over time is going to build up, and really from playing something cleanly and accurately, speed develops. You don't really have to think about it that much. And really what we're after here is we want left and right hand synchronization. We don't want this sort of thing. When you're learning to play single notes, you're teaching yourself to pick the right string, to fret the right string, and to fret the proper fret. So you're really doing 3 things at once. It's a lot to handle initially, but I want you to play the chromatic scale all the way through ascending. I'm going to speed it up here. When you get to the top, yep, you got to reverse it. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. We want to teach hand synchronization from both directions because you never know how that's going to go in a song. A couple of things I do want to mention when you are playing single notes like this. Always play on the fingertips, okay? You want to curl your fingers so you can come around the neck and get on the fingertips. If you notice that you are playing with flat fingers, you're going to be less accurate and it's going to be noisier generally. Now I can do it, but it actually kind of feels awful. All right, you want to get on your fingertips, it's going to be way more accurate for you. It doesn't matter where you play the chromatic scale. You can do it down there. That's the most spread out version. You could play it up here. As long as you stay on 4 frets, who cares? All we are doing here is trying to build right-left hand synchronization. That's a great warm-up for you to do every day. So when you pick up your guitar, make sure that you go through that at least a couple times, ascending and descending. Don't only ascend through the scale and just kind of ignore going backwards, because then you're going to encounter songs that are going that direction. They're descending through a pattern, and you need to be able to have that synchronization for that. You probably noticed that as I picked through that chromatic scale, everything I did down here with the right hand, the picking hand, was a downstroke. So, like that. You don't want to do alternate picking at this point, which is down, up, okay? I want you to play everything as a downstroke to get used to that first. You may be saying, I want to be a rhythm player. I don't need to practice this single note stuff. Actually, you do, because maybe a song is 98% rhythm, but that 2% where they have a little riff or something like a before the chords begin, you've got to be able to play that too as a rhythm player. Let's move on to the chords that I teach in the first lesson. Now, depending on the age of the student, I may pare it back just a little bit, and if I've been watching how they've been doing, but 10, 11, and up usually can handle these 4 chords. So I'm going to introduce 4 chords today in the key of C. Now, a chord is when you play 2 or more notes together. We're going to begin with the C chord, which is probably the most common chord on guitar. You put your 3rd finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, the 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, 4th string, and the 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. We're going to strum from the 5th string down. So as you play that, you hear the open 3rd string and the open E string, the 1st string, ringing out. So it's important to get on your fingertips so that you're not brushed up against those 2 strings so that we can hear them. And as you play, you're going to hear maybe muted notes like that. Simply get more around the neck and onto those fingertips and find a way of placing your fingers right down perfectly in between there. It may seem super hard to do for a while, actually, maybe even for several weeks to get it clean. But But once you get it, it is definitely bicycle riding. It's going to happen automatically for you. The second chord is very, very close to the C chord, and that is called A minor. Now the root is where we're strumming from. We strum from the C on the C chord. Now we're going to strum from the 5th string down, but this time it's going to be the open 5th string, and then I keep my 2 finger on the 4th string 2nd fret, and I move my 3rd finger down to the 3rd string 2nd fret, and my index finger has remained where it was with the C chord on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. So those chords are very closely related. Only one note difference. Here's the C, and here is the A minor. So you want to think about what fingers you can leave down when you're changing between those 2 chords to make it easier on yourself. The next chord might be the easiest for you to play. We're only going to put our 2 finger on the 5th string 2nd fret and our 3 finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So like that right there. This time we're going to strum all 6 strings because the root of this chord is the low E string. It's E minor. The last chord we're going to look at is going to be the G chord, and this could be the toughest one of these 4. We're going to put the 2 finger all the way up here on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, the 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then our 3 finger all the way down to the 1st string 3rd fret, just like that. And again we play all 6 strings. This is the G chord. Let me show you one variation. Many times people, including myself, will put their ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and then their pinky on the 1st string 3rd fret. Just to make it sound a little fuller. It's still the same chord. So if you see a chart that has that written and they're calling it G, but you learned G this way, it's the same chord. Okay, when you're learning chords, you can definitely play chords individually and work on getting them clean. But I can tell you right now what is the most effective way to get those chords clean. It has nothing to do with trying to make a C chord for 10 minutes. It has everything to do with playing it as music. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to put down each chord for 4 beats, and we're going to strum each chord 4 times, and then change to the next one. This is how you work on chord changing. You don't work on chord changing by simply trying to make the perfect C chord forever. You work on it by changing to another chord, and that's how you get good at it. So we're going to play C 4 times. Then A minor 4 times. E minor 4 times. And G 4 times. And then you do it again. The most effective way you could do it is if you put on a metronome or a drum beat. You can look up on YouTube, pull up a slow drum beat and play along to that, and that will push you to make sure that you land on the next chord. And what you would do is you would target beat 1. So if you don't want to strum all 4 strums, we could just go to whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So target beat 1 like that, and it will ensure that your changes get there quicker. These 4 chords that we did today are some of the most common chords you're going to see on guitar. So make sure to practice them in the chord progression that we put together. You're going to get them down so much quicker that way. And don't get hung up on playing the chords super clean. You don't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I would prefer that if you played them a little sloppy and your timing was better on making the changes, that's preferable because the chords will clean themselves up. The more you play them, the cleaner they will get. So you just have to believe that because it will happen. And usually it's the adult students I have who want to play the cleanest chords. So what it ends up doing is it slows them down. They don't really play as fast as the kids who just plow right through them, and they're not hung up on the mistakes. So don't let the mistakes get to you. If you can't hear any of the notes, you have a problem. You need to solve that. But if you hear 3 of them, then that's okay. Move to the next chord, as long as you're playing it in a chord progression. Now, I want you to play the chords cleanly, and you'll get there. So this is an effective way of doing that, and you're still playing music, because many of these chords have notes that are doubled. So if a note is missing because you accidentally muted it out, that's okay. If I'm playing these chords, I'll play them quickly. Several of those chords were missing notes. Did you hear them? Not really. So that's what I'm saying. You can absolutely play through the chords and not be 100% pure about them, and get better and better over time. That is what I cover the first guitar lesson with every single student. I want them to work on single notes because I want their hand synchronization to start getting down. And then I cover those first 4 chords because I want them to start playing chords so we can play chord progressions right away. I encourage you all to do the same. These are very easy concepts to get down initially, but if you have any questions, please make sure to leave a comment down below, and I will certainly respond to it and see if I can help you. If you enjoyed today's content, please make sure to hit that like button. It really helps my channel out. And if you want to subscribe, hit that, and make sure you hit the notification bell as well so that you are notified of future video releases. I'll see you all next time. Have a good time playing.